The Switch 2 has officially been announced, and with it brings a brand new era for Nintendo as a whole. But that brings with it a lot of questions. How powerful is the system gonna be? What games can we expect to see? We've already seen Mario Kart 9 in the reveal trailer, but surely there has to be more they're not showing us, right? Well, luckily for us, they also revealed a whole direct dedicated to the Switch 2 for April. You know, watching the directs is honestly more fun than playing the games and announcing them sometimes. No other company has mastered the art of presenting their future titles in an exciting way quite like Nintendo. Seeing all the trailers and announcements live with everybody's over-the-top reactions is an experience that you just can't get anywhere else. And while directs took a while to get their footing, by the time we hit the Switch era, they got the formula down pat. So in honor of this era of Nintendo coming to a close, I thought I would take a stroll through memory lane and experience the highs and lows of the Switch and rank every Nintendo Direct released for it. Now to cover some ground rules, I'm only looking at directs for the Switch, which started with the April 2017 Direct. Additionally, I'm not looking at any game-specific directs or Indie World presentations, as those are their own separate things. Same goes for minis. Second of all, the way I'll be rating these presentations is by the titles that are announced, the overall consistency of announcements throughout, and the extra wow factor for things such as a one more thing moment. Without further ado, let's hop aboard that hype train and travel back in time for one last hurrah! So the Nintendo Switch was revealed in its own separate trailer along with some game reveals in between, meaning that this Direct is primarily focused on just showing us more info on those games, as well as giving us some 3DS titles. Leading your presentation with Hey Pikmin is certainly a choice, but by now it's clear that they are in the process of hashing out the 3DS and just making some filler titles as they wait for the Switch to start rolling out. But hey look, it's Kirby's 25th anniversary! I can't wait to see what they cook up for the little pink puffball this year. We also received a big portion of ARMS coverage, giving us a big ol' overview of what the game has to offer. Man, it's so sad how ARMS are just completely forgotten about nowadays. It deserves so much more. There was also Minecraft Mario, which is epic. Sonic Forces, which I'm sure is gonna be awesome. Monopoly, love to see it. But now we get to the final portion, where we get a long look at Splatoon 2 and its Salmon Run mode. For the first ever Switch Direct, it was very light on content. A lot of the titles showed were games we already knew about, and the reveals were very limited. It's easy to forget that while the Switch would go on to build a heavy hitter roster of bangers, the actual launch was pretty lacking all things considered. Well, on the bright side, we can only go up from here. So now what do they have in store for us in the fall? Well, to start, we got some Pokemon Ultra Sun Goon, Mario & Luigi Inside Bowser remake, and oh my gosh, Kirby again! Man, they are really committing to this 25th anniversary, aren't they? Then we have this niche little game called Dig Build or something, getting a 3DS port. Apparently it's even getting a movie this year, who knows? But after Mario Party Top 100 and some port announcements, the rest of the show is mostly dedicated to showing us more info about games already announced, with a whopping 8 minutes dedicated to showing off Xenoblade 2. We do get the reveal of Octopath Traveler though, which boasted that HD 2D pixel art style that was all the rage back then. And of course, we gotta end it on Mario Odyssey. You can't not talk about the company mascot's brand new game. This showcase primarily just showed us new info on games fans were already excited about, so at that front I think it achieves its goal. However, an exciting draw to these presentations is the announcements of new games. And with most of the big boys being revealed prior to this, there ain't much to work with this time. While I wouldn't call it bad per se, it definitely is on the weaker side when compared to its competition. Well, it's no longer Kirby's birthday, but let's see if they can still salvage this one. We start with WarioWare Gold and a whole bunch of other 3DS games, which also includes the OG Luigi's Mansion port, which I still don't know why it came out on 3DS and not the Switch, but whatever. Then it cuts to Switch News, which consists of showing us low-key information on things like Kirby Star Allies, Okami, Octopath Traveler, No More Heroes, Dark Souls, etc. Unfortunately, none of these reveals really have any sauce to them and are very plainly presented to us. But then we get a big ol' spotlight on Mario Tennis Aces, which does its best to make tennis look fun. Oh hey, look, it's Undertale. The Crash Bandicoot trilogy coming to Switch is neat, I guess. Would be better if it didn't look so graphically inferior to its PlayStation counterpart. Oh hey, look, it's South Park. Okay, not gonna lie, this showcase has been pretty mid so far, with no real wow factor in anything shown, so let's just see how they end it. Ooh, a Splatoon DLC expansion that takes place in O-Block? I can get behind that. You see, now this trailer has some pizzazz to it. Not enough to save the whole presentation, but what can you do? Oh wait, it's not over. Alright, what's the deal with this new Splatoon trailer? Is it a new mode or... Alright, yeah, that director's pretty good. So this one is an interesting case. After some cool trailers for Demon X Machina and Xenoblade 2 DLC, our main man Reggie comes out again and starts playing Pokemon before showing us another live-action ad of people playing Super Mario Party. How dare they have so much fun. We even got the reveal of Fire Emblem Three Houses, along with the main theme song, #Fear the Deer. Afterwards, we get a little breather and some light announcements and news before the big man walks into the room. The GOAT himself, Masahiro Sakurai, hijacks the rest of this direct and shows us the brand new Smash game. And by the rest of it, I mean well over half the 42-minute presentation. If any other game took that much precedence over an E3 presentation, it would be a bit questionable to say the least. But Smash Bros. Is that one exception. It only comes out once every console generation, and acts as a celebration of not just all things Nintendo, but all things gaming as well. So this gets my thumbs up. As for what we saw, well, I only have 3 words for you. The madman did it. Those 3 words rocked the internet when this was first shown. No one quite has the amount of sauce as Sakurai. His trailers fully lean into the hype and suspense, leaving the audience wonder who or what is about to be shown, and including so many callbacks and references at the same time. He simply just hits different. To prove my point, look no further than the character reveal trailer shown at the end of this presentation. Mario, Samus, and Mega Man are walking along an ominous bridge when something swoops in and kills Mega Man. People who know will recognize that tail shape, but then Mario also goes down, as we focus on Samus's visor, who gives an expression which reads as her knowing who it is and dreading it. We then get the close-up of the big man himself, Ridley, who is hitting the big time, which is a reference to the fact that for years people said that Ridley would never make it into a Smash game due to how big he is. Well, joke's on them. Well, not a lot of games got revealed this time around. It's not every day a new Smash game comes out and gets as much love as it did here, so I think it deserves a solid spot among the elites. Alright, let's see what autumn season's got cooking up again. Ooh, a cold open to Luigi's Mansion 3? Very respectable choice of appetizer. Then of course we still got some 3DS games included as the free bread at the table. Man, Kirby has been showing up a lot in these. But then the first entree comes out and we get a music video / update announcement for Splatoon 2, followed by some other updates and whatnot. Nothing too crazy. Mario U got a port? Ain't that something? Oh my goodness, I completely forgot the NSO launched this late into the console's career. I can't say replacing the free network service with a paid one is exciting news, but it did come out with some NES games, so that's something at least. Oh look, a non-Pokemon game made by Game Freak. Wonder how that'll do. Remember when Ubisoft put Star Fox in their game? Think we'll ever see him again? Probably not. But then the rest of this pretty much just boils down to news and updates for things we already know about. But remember, this is a post-Smash Bros. Ultimate Reveal Direct, which means we can always expect a new fighter to pop out in one of these. So who is it this time? Well, I guess they're saving Master Chief for the next Direct. And for dessert, we got good old Thomas Nookington informing us of a new Animal Crossing game in the works. Respectable finish. The beginning and ending of this presentation were definitely solid, but the middle portion lacked a lot of big reveals or wow factor. That said though, the big things it did reveal definitely raised this up a bit. Really? You could have just pushed this Direct back one day and have it released on Valentine's. Missed opportunity. Well, at least they make up for it with a little bit of Super Mario Maker 2, baby! That's what I'm talking about! And we got slopes this time? Reggie, you shouldn't have! I just think at this point, we have to say goodbye to the 3DS, as all news is focused on the Switch. Rest in pizza. We got some Box Boy and a friendly reminder that Joker is coming to Smash. There was DLC announced for Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, so all the Toad fans out there can rejoice. I will say though, that Dragon Quest XI coming to Switch is pretty hype. I can't lie. Oh look, it's a guy from Smash! We do also get our first big look at Fire Emblem 3 Houses, where we actually learn about said 3 houses. Hashtag Fear the Deer. You know, I feel like I've seen a lot of news and updates for Tetris 99, but I've yet to play it. It's a neat concept though, and same day release is cool. This was also the reveal of Astral Chain, made by the creator of Bayonetta, so I'd say that's decently big. And for the last announcement, Link crashes onto shore and reveals Link's Awakening Remake. I know the art style was a bit controversial at the time, but nevertheless, a new Zelda game is always worth a few bonus points. This Direct had a lot of solid entries, while at the same time not anything too crazy or mind-blowing. The news we got on certain games was appreciated, but overall I would say it was just good enough. Side note though, it is really hard to rank the B tiers among each other, just because they tend to feel very similar to one another. But anyways, oh boy, it's E3 time again! If you couldn't already tell by now, E3 is where Nintendo likes to put their best foot forward and give us all the big juicy announcements. And the first thing we see is a new Smash Bros. Character reveal. Oh hey, it's Future Trunks! Alright Reggie, show us what you're cooking up once more. Wait a minute, Bowser? This is the point in time where Reggie stepped down as president of Nintendo of America and got replaced by King Koopa himself. May his reign be benevolent and his cause just. After a decent look at Luigi's Mansion 3, we get a Dark Crystal game, followed by more news about Link's Awakening remake in 3 houses. Solid stuff. Then we get a live action trailer of people going to a haunted house just to play Resident Evil. I mean, you do you, I guess. But it's followed by a trailer for No More Heroes 3, baby! Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about! If you know, you know. Hashtag Travis touchdown for Smash. You know, it's so weird seeing Pokemon show up in anything that's not a Pokemon Presents. Like, they always tend to present everything on their own and do their own thing. But here we get some slight Sword Shield news. But after a trailer for Astral Chain, we get a cool crossover between Crypto the Necrodancer and Zelda. That's a combination I never thought I'd see. But then we get our first real look at Animal Crossing New Horizons, which shows us an emphasis on crafting and customization. Completely unrelated, but remember when the Game Orchestra had to make an epic orchestral cover of the New Horizons theme? I do. Anyways, after a quick scissor reel, we get to what appears to be a new Smash Bros character. Man, 2 for the price of 1? Wonder who it is. Oh, it's Duck Hunt. That's neat. Psych! It's Banjo-Kazooie. First of all, great callback to K. Rool's trailer. And second of all, what a hype announcement. This right here was a lot of people's most requested character. So I'm happy to see they got what they wanted. Although personally, who's someone at this time wanted Sora above all else, I can't say I was as happy as some others were, but that was a damn good direct. Good work, Bowser. Wait a minute, did he just say one more thing? That right there is how you know we're about to receive a banger announcement. And what a banger announcement it turned out to be. Breath of the Wild 2. This time with what seems to be Ganondorf. Whoo boy! As per usual, the E3 presentation is as hype as ever. By this point, the Switch has had a great start. It's only gaining momentum as it goes along. You could say there were some points in this direct where it wasn't as impactful as others, but those big reveals were indeed big. I mean, we got 2 Smash Bros. Reveals and Breath of the Wild 2 for God's sake. How could it not be at least A? Well, let's see how this one can follow up on the last one. The first thing we get is Overwatch Switch? I don't think that's a good sign. Well, you know what, it's fine. Plus the gyro aiming is funny. Besides, we got some Luigi Manor footage as well as Kirby again! Every time this puffball shows up, my heart grows 3 times larger. Then after some obligatory JRPG news, we get a Smash Bros. Reveal in the middle of the direct. Huh. Usually they save those for the beginning or end. Oh well. I will say that I like the trailer a lot, and Terry himself is pretty cool. However, this reveal was ruined by the fact that Nintendo themselves accidentally leaked the fact that Terry was going to be the next Smash character on their website, so that is a bit unfortunate. But one thing that didn't leak was the announcement of a second Fighter's Pass. And seeing how insane the first pass was, speculation and hype went through the roof. We got a port of that one Fire Emblem game that's a crossover with a game I know nothing about, but then we get a giant wave of filler announcements paired with minor news and things we already know about. Not much excitement to be found in this section. However, we do get the reveal of SNES games coming to NSO, which is good to see. Man, I miss Mario and Sonic the Olympic games. After more filler, we finally get something juicy with an overview of Animal Crossing New Horizons, all presented in a cute and cozy manner. The last announcement is for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which while I love Xenoblade and all, saving an announcement for a remaster for the end? It would be one thing if it was a complete remake, but this is just a prettier version of the OG game on Wii. On a presentation level, this direct in particular has some major structural problems. Starting with a port of Overwatch of all things is such a baffling choice, and it's not even a Nintendo game. If this started with the Xenoblade reveal and ended with Terry and the Fighter's Pass 2, that would have made for a way better beginning and end. But besides that, a lot of the entries this time were just whatever. It's extremely inconsistent all throughout with some very few bright spots. So for that reason, it's going at the bottom for now. How's that for a time skip, eh? Starting out with some Xenoblade 2 news. Okay, I mean the games have been out for a while at this point, so I'm not sure why it's here. Oh, it's the reveal for Rex, okay. Like I said, the reveal for Pyra and Mythra. As a Xenoblade enjoyer, I was happy about this inclusion, but I do remember a lot of discourse around the time was bemoaning the introduction of another anime sword fighter. Well, joke's on them, because they wouldn't be the last. Oh hey, Among Us. Moving on, we have some good old Monster Hunter. It's weird to think that Rise was exclusive for the Switch for a while there. I mean, it certainly looks like it was. Oh boy, it's the epic return of Mario Golf. As someone who actually does like to go golfing from time to time, I can appreciate how in-depth these games go. That being said, you would never catch me wearing a visor. And this is the part of the direct where a lot of the filler updates and reveals take place. We do get the reveal of Project Triangle Strategy working title though. I can imagine this is pretty big for fans of Octopath Traveler, so that's nice for them. Oh my gosh, Breath of the Wild 2? Oh, it's just Age of Calamity DLC.
I'm sure a lot of you saw me and thought there might be news about the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild game. Unfortunately, we don't have anything to share right now.
Oh, come on! Skyward Sword getting the HD treatment? Nice. Now all the major 3D Zelda games are remastered in HD. If only we could play them all in one console. And lastly, Nintendo shows off a teaser for Splatoon 3. Very surprising considering how soon it felt since Splatoon 2 released, but nevertheless, it is exciting news. This direct does have some good stuff in it, but looking at the other directs, it's missing that special something. There is a lot of time dedicated to smaller games in this presentation that I don't think most people are interested in, and the big announcements were good, but not good enough to raise it all that high. Also, the constant teasing of Breath of the Wild 2 is about to get annoying fast. E3 3, baby, let's go! Well, that's a morbid way to start things off. Kazuya from Tekken gets announced for Smash, which for fighting game fans is huge. Then after a few ports and monkey business, a new Mario Party emerges. It even brings back old maps. How nice. But now, we get something that no one saw coming. Metroid Dread, the long-awaited follow-up to Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance. Just that title drop of Metroid 5 goes so hard. Goated announcement, but not quite as goated as Just Dance 2022, baby. Oh yeah! Black Myth Wukong came out for the Switch. Got some Mario Golf, Monster Hunter Stories, new WarioWare, solid stuff. And then we got Persona 5, Shin Megami Tensei 5. As someone who's only played Persona, I don't really understand the differences between the two series outside of sharing some monster designs, but hey, a SMT game is always appreciated. Remember when Mario and the Rabbids teamed up? Me too. We see a new trailer for Advance Wars, which I know took a long time to release for some reason, before ending the direct with a whole bunch of Zelda news, including Age of the Calamity DLC, Skyward Sword HD overview, and our actual first look at Breath of the Wild 2 with a 2022 release date. The highest point in this direct was easily the Metroid Dread reveal, and while nothing else quite lived up to that moment, there were a lot of hidden gems scattered throughout that made this a lot better than its competition. Let's just dive on in, shall we? Ooh, cold open to the Monster Hunter Rise expansion? Nice. Something about going from Monster Hunter to Mario Party is a wee bit funny if you ask me. There's some Age of Calamity DLC, the Mario Kart Killer, and the announcement of the final Smash Ultimate character. Swear to God, if Dr. Travis touched, I'm about to crash out. Is this GTA 6? Not gonna lie, looking pretty mid if it is. Oh my God, 3D Kirby! The GOAT has once again come to save the direct. I don't think you realize how big this is. Not counting that random side game on the 3DS. This is the first time Kirby has gotten a 3D platformer game, and it came at just the right time to breathe new life into this series. Bravo! Okay, what's next? Another announcement for more Animal Crossing announcements? Sure. The next chunk is just dedicated to news and updates for games like Mario Golf, Triangle Strategy, and Metroid Dread, which is good and all, but then Nintendo revealed the online expansion pass, featuring N64 and Sega Genesis games come to the service. To be honest, I think the service is a bit overpriced, but getting N64 games is a good thing on its own. Now we have the thing that set the internet on fire, the Mario movie cast reveal. Let me tell you, nothing was funnier than seeing Chris Pratt's black and white image saying that he was playing Mario. The funny part is though, that it just kept getting crazier. Charlie Day Luigi, Jack Black Bowser, Seth Rogen Donkey Kong. All I have to say is peak. Also, something to keep in mind that this is the first Nintendo movie to ever be released in theaters, not counting Detective Pikachu or the OG Mario movie. Also, this is the first time in a long time they've switched voice actors for the characters. This is monumental news for the franchise as a whole and would set a new precedent for what to expect in potential future films as well. Wow, I don't think anything could top that, but we still got two things to watch. The first being a more in-depth look at Splatoon 3, and the last being the long-awaited gameplay reveal of Bayonetta 3. This game was announced years ago, but almost no info came out about it until this trailer, so I'd say it's a solid ending to a very solid direct. I think this direct in particular shined in having a lot of heavy hitters spread throughout the entire presentation. Again, the reactions to the Mario cast announcement were just so good. Every one of them, people just couldn't stop laughing. You just had to be there. Honestly, if we did get the Sora trailer here, then I would consider putting this in S. But for everything it showed off, from heavy hitter titles to news about a movie that would later become the highest grossing video game film of all time, I think it deserves to be the highest among everything discussed so far. 2022. Anything cool happen this year? I'm honestly drawing a blank right now. Anyways, what's Bowser got in store for us this time? Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes? I mean, I didn't really enjoy the original Fire Emblem Warriors all that much, and the sequel just looks like more of the same, but Three Houses was big at the time, so I can see people getting excited over this. Oh wow, a new Mario Strikers. I know this got a lot of people hooting and hollering. Hopefully this game doesn't lack any content at launch. Then after showing Splatoon 3's Salmon Run mode, it's just a whole bunch of filler broken up by ports and RPGs. Kirby, oh my god, he sucked it whole! Then even more filler appears before, BAM! Nintendo Switch Sports. I mean, Wii Sports was pretty goated back in the day, so I'm actually looking forward. Oh god, what are those? What happened to the Miis? What's even the point of having Miis on the Switch if they're barely used for anything? Not gonna lie, this direct is starting to lose me a little bit. I mean, Metroid Update and Earthbound are cool, but it ain't anything too crazy. What is crazy though is Mario Kart 8 getting a DLC season pass featuring 48 new courses. What? You have to understand, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has been out since the Switch's launch, and 5 years later they just decided to give it a huge DLC drop? What in the world? Alright Bowser, you got me. Now what could possibly be the finale? Oh yeah, Xenoblade 3, we are so back. This direct was pretty mid for the majority of it. There was a lot of filler and not a whole lot of killer until the end with 2 bangers back to back. I think they should have showed off the booster course earlier on to keep it less back heavy. Regardless, while it finished strong, the rest of it was pretty lacking. Huh, no E3 this year? Oh well, surely be back next summer. Fire Emblem Engage. I remember some people being off-put by the overly anime art style this time around, but hey, a new new Fire Emblem is still a new Fire Emblem. That said, I still think the main character looks stupid. Got some Xenoblade DLC, SpongeBob, JoJo? We finally got a better look at Octopath Traveler 2. Okay, not gonna lie, this middle section is a whole lot of nothing burger content. Just miscellaneous news and RPG farming simulators. That is until Miyamoto starts talking about Pikmin. Now to tell a quick story, Pikmin 4 was stated to be very close to finish many years ago. However, we didn't hear so much as a peep since then. Did they cancel it? Will it ever see the light of day? Was Hey Pikmin the game they were working on? Is this finally the moment we get Pikmin 4? God damn it! It's over. End of presentation. I'm done. See ya. This is the greatest Nintendo Direct of all time. I don't want to hear no one say otherwise. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled content. More ports, remasters, news, etc. Until we see that our main man Kirby is getting his own remaster in the form of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, featuring a new Magolor-focused epilogue story. Shout out to my main man Magolor, and Magolor we trust. For the ending, we get another sneak peek at Tears of the Kingdom, which shows off some neat features, but at the same time, we still barely know anything of what the game actually entails. This one's hard to rank. On one hand, the filler is off the charts in this one, but on the other hand, we got new Fire Emblem and Pikmin 4. So was it that bad in the end? This might be my most biased placing, but it has to be B at the very least. Like, come on! Pikmin year has arrived. Finally, us Pikmen can rest knowing that peak is on the way. Oh my goodness, even 2 years later, it looks so good. But enough Pikmin glazing for now. There was some other stuff in this presentation, like more Xenoblade DLC featuring Chad Rex. You also got to see some DLC passes for Splatoon 3 and Fire Emblem Engage. Then a bunch of smaller games were thrown in between until we get an update that the NSO will be adding Game Boy games, including Game Boy Advance games for owners of the Expansion Pass. I'll say, the Expansion Pass is looking a lot more worth it now. Huh, would you look at that? Metroid Prime 1 is getting a remaster before the previously announced Prime 4 even got a gameplay reveal. Interesting. New Mario Kart map revealed, and for the finale, another sneak peek at Tears of the Kingdom. I can't tell if this is a B or C. The announcements are good and all, but the amount of filler outweighs the amount of hype reveals. I'll say now, looking back, I think this is very underwhelming. Huh, you know, it says it's June, but E3 isn't in the title. Must be an oversight on Nintendo's part. Starting out with Scarlet and Violet DLC. Again, always weird seeing Pokemon pop up in these. Okay, what's next? Sonic! Superstars was already revealed prior to this, but come on, it's Sonic! New Splatfest, very nice. Anyone that doesn't pick vanilla is just objectively wrong.
A light roast today, huh?
That's not Ryan Reynolds. But then we get a left hook out of nowhere with the trailer for Super Mario RPG Remake. People have been begging for years to see this game come to light, but due to Square being involved in the original game's creation, many people thought it was just a pipe dream. Now at last, Geno fans have another excuse as to why he should be in Smash. Looks like Mario fans are eating good with this one. By the looks of it, so are Peach fans who have finally got another Peach-focused game, with the last and only other one being on the GBA. And to top it off, we also received word of a Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon port. The Paisanos are feasting. But after some filler to recharge our system, we get the real man's game, Pikmin 4. Look at that little ghost Pikmin! We see a trailer for Penny's Big Breakaway, which is made by the same team behind Sonic Mania, so that's epic. Another set of Mario Kart DLC, with my man Petey Piranha getting in. A new game for the WarioWare series, a franchise that keeps on getting new games with no signs of stopping. But the finale, oh brother, the finale! A new Super Mario Bros. 2D platformer that is not a new Super Mario Bros. 2D platformer. It's been so long since you. And while Mario Maker was awesome, this just seemed to go in another direction not possible in that game. Just look how expressive my man is. Mario fans have officially exploded due to feasting too much. This is one of those times where if you're not a fan of the plumber, then you probably didn't get a whole lot out of this one. But considering the fact that Mario is the mascot of the company, I think it makes sense to give him the shine he deserves. So in my mind, this succeeded in getting people excited about the Mario Brothers once again. This time around, we start out with a cool looking trailer for the Splatoon 3 expansion, Side Order. This leads into a Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake? Very random, but hey, it's Mario, I'll let it slide. After that, however, nothing but updates and filler happens until near the 2/3 mark where we see the Nintendo Museum under construction. If only I lived in Japan. Oh my god, is that what I think it is? After all these years, are we finally getting a new entry in the F-Zero series?
F-Zero 99.
Oh, I've heard people say that this game is fun, but man, way to kick a man while he's down. Okay, let's just skip to the Mario Kart news. The map looks cool, but I would like it a lot more if they added Funky Kong! He's back! Is that the new Death Note game that just came out? This direct has been pretty mid so far, not gonna lie. lie, so this finale better be epic. Man, Mario fans just can't stop winning. Mario RPG coming back was one thing, but Thousand Year Door as well? It's also surprising that they chose Thousand Year Door over the original, but I'm guessing they heard the fans' outcry for a port of TTYD on Switch and they delivered. All in all, this direct was mid. It was mostly filler with only a few highlights to speak of. You could tell that around this time Nintendo was starting to save all the big games for the next console, while the OG Switch just gets some easy to make ports or remakes to satiate everyone's appetites. That said, this wasn't abysmal, but that ain't saying much. At long last, we made it to the most recent Direct, and quite possibly the last one we might ever get for the original Switch. Let's see if they ended on a bang or not. I think Mario fans have become the new Kirby fans in the sense that they just keep winning! The original development studio for the Mario Luigi series went bankrupt, so I don't know what kind of necromancy they had to use to bring it back to life, but it worked! We got Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, which looks like a fun little compilation. There's a Fairy Tail game, Fall Guys, another Fairy Tail game, and look at that, it's Donkey Kong coming out of retirement, but this time in HD. We get an extended look at Dragon Quest III HD, as well as the reveal of 1 and 2 HD. I really want to play this at some point. Anyways, then we move on to Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, Arcade Classics, which I know nothing about, but apparently a lot of people in the fighting game community were freaking out about this, so good on them. Well, would you look at that, a new Mario Party. Well, don't mind if I do. We Mario fans simply refuse to stop winning. Right after, we see that we're getting a new top-down Zelda, which is already huge, but then we learned that we actually get to play as Zelda. Like, huh? I never thought I'd see the day where Zelda was actually the main character in a Zelda game. Well, besides that one time, we get an HD collection of the Ace Attorney Investigations games, with the second one getting an official English translation. This direct just keeps revealing banger after banger. But looking back at all the other directs I covered so far, I think there's one game that would be the perfect cover to end this era of Nintendo on. The game that was revealed all the way back in 2017 and since then restarted development. Everyone between now and then wondered whatever happened to Prime 4, and if we would ever see it again, or if it silently got cancelled. But at long last, we see it in all of its glory, with a release window to boot. A perfect way to end the supposed last Switch Direct, if you ask me. I'm surprised they managed to deliver a Direct this strong, this late into its life cycle. I feel like this Direct in particular had a little something for everyone to enjoy. It was full of reveals both big and small. I think this one sits comfortably in the higher ranks. I had this video already made and scheduled to upload the other day, but then Nintendo did the unthinkable and announced a Direct 1 week before the official end of the Switch 1 era. After some thought, I decided to stay true to the craft and stand by what I initially set out to do. Rank every Switch 1 era Nintendo Direct. But fellas, I must say, that Direct was so like, oh my Arceus, it was bad. So bad that I actually think we experienced a net loss in hype. Let's get the two most hyped things out of the way. A new Rhythm Heaven game finally, even though it, a borderline Flash game, is not coming out till 2026 after all this time. And then a new Tomodachi Life, which is Pog, but more on that later. First, I want to go through the announcements and why so many of them actually de-hyped me. Dragon Quest Remakes, a third-party game collection that was already announced as the opener for the Direct. But this time we get to see gameplay of the first 2 games. This would be a lot cooler if we didn't already know what the third game looked like, and it looks exactly the same, so yeah, it's basically nothing new. Speaking of nothing new, Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends ZA. Oh boy. I'ma be honest, you could tell me the Metroid Prime 4 gameplay was taken from the first remaster and I would have believed it. The first trailer for Prime 4 was hype. This showing, however, just left me feeling kind of whatever, you know? Like it was cool, but all it did for me was detract my existing hype for the game since walking through the first common area isn't as epic as landing in a war-torn sci-fi battlefield that Sarah stormed in on from last time. Now as for Pokemon, when I said nothing new, I really meant it here. You had the audacity to show this game again with 0 new. Oh boy, hold on, I gotta take a chill pill for this one. 1 sec. Okay. Nah, F that, I'm crashing out! You couldn't show a single new Mega, are you serious? Like, bruh, that is literally the bare minimum scrap of info that you could have spread. There are reportedly 20-something new Megas in this game, and you couldn't have shown one of them! In my head, I was watching this Direct thinking, oh my god, if they can't even show one Mon, this is an F-tier Direct. And spoiler alert, it is! Get that shit in there. I mean, come on, they showed a Mega Evolved Alakazam instead. Traders get a little quirky at night, that's it. There's absolutely no reason in my mind why they couldn't have shown one new Mega, yet they still decided to hold off. why? Nintendo was officially trolling at this point. Now we get to maybe the worst part of the Direct. Something that I would actually prefer they didn't announce at all. Something that is a true net negative to this presentation. Digital cartridges, aka Nintendo's answer to stop game sharing. It pains me to explain why this is bad, but just picture it like this. You buy Smash Bros, you game share it with your friend to play with them at the same time so that you can fight together. Makes sense, right? Well, with this new update, you can't do that anymore. Now each purchase of the game will count as if there were one cartridge, so now only one person gets to play the game at a time. This is awful for multiplayer games like Smash and Mario Kart, the games that people want to game share the most. Now, at the time of making this, we're still being drip-fed new information about this system, but apparently there might be a way to opt out of this. Potentially it's for legal reasons for the Switch 1, or for all we know, it could be a stuck feature for the Switch 2. Either way, this was just my reaction to this news based on what was in the trailer. Now I'm about to talk about the two highlights of this Direct: Rhythm Heaven Groove and Tomodachi Life, which are epic in of themselves to the point where you'd think it would make this Direct at least a D or C tier. But I want to harp on that last point I made and make it clear that even with some of these announcements that are exciting, the announcements that have come before them have negatively tanked the score of this Direct as a whole to the point where it almost cancels out the hype for the other stuff. For me anyway. Because I use GameShare! So yeah, Rhythm Heaven Groove and Tomodachi Life 2. Nice. No, seriously, they are nice to have. They won't be out till 2026, which is surprising, but it's fine. Interesting closer material, but it's also fine. They are good announcements that are weighed down by an otherwise terrible Direct. And as we know with this video, we're here to rank the Directs as a whole, so I'm sticking with my ranking here purely from all the negative news and how even the seemingly more exciting stuff was still set up in a way that made me leave the showcase less hyped for the material than I was at the start. I'm amazed that's even possible. Maybe I'm biased, but this was not it for me. Now, if you've been paying attention, you may have noticed that the S tier is completely vacant. That's not to say that any of the A tier ones are bad per se, but all of them are just short of one or two things that would make them perfect. However, if you'll indulge me for a bit, there is one example of a perfect Direct that stands head and shoulders above the rest of the crowd. Allow me to show you just one more thing. While this is technically called a Nintendo Spotlight video, it is not featured in the normal Direct playlists. It is for all intents and purposes a Nintendo Direct, and boy is it a good one. We start off with a scissor reel that looks like it was targeted towards teenagers who think they're ghetto because they watch Fast and Furious, and cut to seeing the man, the myth, the legend, Reggie Fils-Aimé in the flesh, giving an epic monologue before the room he's in folds away, revealing the background for the game that's about to be revealed, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. What a smooth transition. This was around the time the first game started getting really popular, so a sequel was big news at the time. But why stop there? How about we get a new 2D Kirby game as well? I mean, it is Kirby's 25th anniversary after all. Alright, that was a lot of big reveals. To calm down, we get a quick speech from one guy who says he's relieved that Switch is seemingly successful, which after the Wii U underperformed as badly as it did, feels nice to hear. No shade to the Wii U though, I will always treasure you, my beloved. But then they just casually announced that Game Freak is working on the first core mainline Pokemon title for the Switch. You know, no big deal or anything. Say what you want about the Switch era Pokemon games, but excitement back then on what a Pokemon game on a home console would look like was insane. So far, it's been hitter after hitter. Surely it has to slow down by now. Guess not. A new Metroid Prime game. We're so back. 2018 can't come soon enough. Even Yoshi got some love. Hasn't even been that long since Woolly World, but hey, I'll take it. Looking back at the April Direct, it's very easy to see that they were waiting for E3 to show off everything. And for the finale, we get our first major look at Mario Odyssey, which includes Jump Up Superstar also hitting the airwaves. What a great way to end it. This is one of the few gaming presentations that has almost nothing but consistent banger after banger. Usually there are always slow points Directs where they're just showing off a bunch of third-party or indie games that, let's be honest, not a whole lot of people are looking into afterwards. Don't get me wrong, I love me some indie games and whatnot, but when I come to a Nintendo or Xbox or Sony presentation, I expect to see some heavy-hitter first-party IPs. And in this Direct, it was almost nothing but that. And for that, I think it remains the crown jewel for what a Direct could be. And that is every Nintendo Switch Direct ranked. Although now I have a new question. What was the best reveal? I mean, that's what Directs are all about, right? The game reveals. Those unforgettable moments that stick with you for years to come. So what was the best reveal of any of these Directs, no matter where they're ranked on this list? I could share my opinion, but I think I should hand it over to an expert.
So I've been thinking about this a lot recently with the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct coming up, and I feel like my absolute favorite moment in Nintendo Direct history, not just in the Nintendo Switch era, but in Nintendo Direct history period, has got to be the initial reveal teaser for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I feel like people who are used to my YouTube channel probably think that I would go with the everyone is here moment, because obviously that was amazing. Getting to find out that every single Smash character was going to be coming back and then ending with the reveal that Ridley is going to be a playable character, that was an absolutely momentous occasion. But I really do want to take you back to that initial reveal teaser for Smash Ultimate, before it was called Smash Ultimate, back when it was just Smash Brothers for Switch, where you got that splash screen of 2018, no direct release date. That was it. We just got the inklings, the teaser that it was going to be Champion Link that was going to be represented in the game, and then Mario, and that was it. And I feel like a lot of people at the time thought that Smash Brothers on Switch was going to end up being like a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe type situation, right? I think a lot of people assumed, especially based on all the rumors that were going around at the time, that we were going to get Super Smash Bros. 4 ported over, maybe with some new characters and a new mode or something, but that was going to be that. So from that initial teaser, when you see that it's a new design of Link, that it's not just Link from Smash 4, and you're seeing the inklings in there, I knew right away that was going to absolutely change the trajectory of my playtime on the Nintendo Switch. And of course, Smash Bros. Ultimate became one of my favorite games of all time. Absolutely adore it. And I do think it's the best Smash Bros. Game. So that is my pick for my favorite Nintendo Direct moment.
It's been kind of surreal going back and seeing all these as someone who's there since day one watching them live. Seeing all the crazy bombshells and witnessing the community lose their minds is a one-of-a-kind feeling. While I do criticize some of these directs, it's always because I know the potential of what they have shown what they could be. A jaw-dropping experience that leaves everyone speechless. The Switch 2 is going to be the first Nintendo console made without Satoru Iwata to oversee it. So here's hoping they can still keep his spirit and that the hype train continues chugging away for many years to come. Thanks for watching, and until next time, see ya!